Hello, Linda.
Hello. That's it? That's kind of lame.
Hello, Linda.
Much
Is that better?
better.
Okay, cool. Happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday to everybody out in Facebook land. We hope you're having a great day.
We're going
Um,
old school today.
yeah, like an old fool. We got to start off with a couple things real quick here. Good housekeeping, as they call it. Please do us a favor. If you are watching this live, give us thumbs up. Let us know that you can see us, that kind of thing, of course. And if you're watching this in the replay, do the hashtag replay, please.
Did you just call me an old fool?
Just maybe, maybe. No. So we wanted to take it back to the old school because we're so cool, like that old
Going back to our roots.
roots. Got it. And we're going to do some Q&A type stuff, some questions we came up with from the community, but we also openly invite other people to join in through Facebook. And if you can present a question, we'll try to help answer it real quick during, we're going to keep this down to 30 minutes, of course.
Except for Greg, because I saw his question in the community. I was like, oh, Greg can't jump in.
Well, I promise I'll help you later, Greg, if you want.
I saw that question. I thought, oh, I feel your pain.
So why don't we get started now? I'll do a quick share of my screen here.
Want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay, this came from something's on there. Montreal Harold. I probably didn't say that exactly right. I'm currently using a third-party payroll service, and I will continue to use them through the end of the year, which is smart. What do I need from them to get my payroll set up in QuickBooks? So he's going from some other payroll service, ADP, Paychecks, you name the payroll service, and he's now going to go to QuickBooks Online payroll service. Didn't say which one, but now we know all the new ones are all full service. I mean, not full service, but they're all going to have the payroll and the taxes done.
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, so first assumption is going to be, we're going to make the assumption that we're talking about a traditional fiscal year is a calendar year, okay?
Yes.
Because that could actually make a distinction or a difference.
Right.
Of course, being on a quarter, makes it a little bit easier. The real purpose or the real, question behind this question is, how do we get the data? What's the easiest way to transfer payroll providers? And by waiting until the end of the year and then doing your switch over, it's going to make it to where you have one source of truth for all of your payroll documents, your 941s throughout the year. You're going to have your end of years, your W-2s, all that stuff. Just make it easier on yourself. If you were to try to transition at the very end, you literally have to go and key in like all these different, all the prior history. You don't want to deal with that.
It's a best practice. Year end is a great time, and we're coming onto that. So that's why I figured this is a pretty good question. One thing though, if you are in a payroll service like a Paychecks, once you finalize your year end, and that's going to mean you're going to have to pay for whatever that service is through January, because you're going to have to file. They're going to do the January taxes. They don't do it on December 31st. They're going to do it. Make sure with the old payroll service, number one, no matter what payroll service you have, download the documents and put them in some kind of cloud storage so you have them separate of the payroll service that you're using, just in case the login and all that stops working. You're no longer a customer anymore. That's a good best practice.
Well, so now's the right time to do it. So to answer the question a little bit deeper is, you should absolutely be getting a hold of Intuit Payroll now. Especially the more employees you have, the more time you want to permit for everything to be set up correctly. Because the goal would be, get the setup going now. That way, January 1st, you can hit the ground running. Yeah. By doing that, you've got the time you need to deal with the old payroll provider. Don't cancel the old payroll provider, obviously, yet. You'd have to pay them through the end of your everything else. But by doing that overlap you're talking about, you can ensure you've got all the employees set up. You can make sure they have the portals are set up so they can receive their online paychecks. Just every little detail can be nicely handled to make sure you start the year running with a beautiful, beautiful payroll setup onto it.
Yeah, not be against the clock, right? So if you have that courtesy of time and have that, just being able to just take your time setting up the new payroll, it's worth whatever it is. It's not even that expensive with full service or the different full service offerings that they have, because they've got now, everything's changed, and I think they've renamed them some of the names of other things. So just a little confusing. It's not called enhanced, and there's just new names to it, but it's pretty good. Some of the new offerings are a lot better. I was never a fan of advanced. A lot of clients went for it because it's the cheapest. but then they had to make sure they clicked the email and click to do the tax filing. That's all now going to be processed. Something else new is if you have salaried employees, you can automate that. So you don't have to go in and click to pay them. You can make that automatic.
After like S Corp. And yeah. Actually, so what I was going to do is I'm going to dive in real quickly into our sample company file. Most people don't ever get the chance to really show payroll aspects, right? Because, well, it's highly sensitive data usually. So let's do that.
Oh, did you make me an employee and going to pay me a lot of money? Uh-huh.
Yeah, you have an advance you're paying back apparently.
Oh, come on.
So don't worry, everybody. Just disclaimer: fake payroll. I'm not showing anything else off on
your
your
Facebook.
What?
I see Facebook on the screen.
Whoopsie. Don't worry, everybody. I'm showing you the wrong screen. My bad. I apologize. Okay. So now we got the right screen. Now you're looking at payroll. I figure if we kind of come into here and let's look at what it takes to, like, of course, add an employee. I know that this is probably very obvious to a lot of people, but this really is the information that's necessary to be able to go through and set up payroll. So you're going to have the personal details, of course. This is something that we really, really try to do all the time by putting a good email in here. And I strongly recommend this should be a personal email. This should not be a business-oriented email. The reason for that is if there was ever separation of ways and they still need to access those paychecks or check stubs, that's why it should be a personal email there, okay? Of course, going to be filling out a W-4.
That's me.
That was your dog. So let's
make one of those days.
What is it? 4-alarm fire.
I burnt toast the other day. 4-alarm fire.
Yeah, they sent a public service announcement asking Linda not to try cooking anymore. So now we've got the details entered in here. Let's go to enter W-4 form. Linda.
Oh, I spelled my name wrong.
Is that gonna work? I don't think it'll let me do that. Not using K.
But I do like the fact that we can fill out.
It totally works. Exclamation at the end of a name. I never knew that before. Sorry. Okay. Social number. You need all these details in here.
One.
Again, you should have all this stuff. You are supposed to be keeping copies of all of this information in your own employee records at your office, locked up somewhere.
Business, correct. Yep.
Yes. So these are the details. Of course, you would have it. You can take basically an employee packet, have them fill everything out. You've got your blank forms that you can grab by clicking the hyperlink here. You can handle your own state details. We're in California, so it's showing as California, of course.
I don't want to pay California taxes.
I wish I could just change the state name and have it actually work that way. So besides that, then you're going to also have your pay details. So what do you pay? How often do you pay? We'll say you're going every month. And what do you want to name that? That works. Set up your pay schedule inside of here also. You can customize the schedule. So, this is actually important because the way you set up your pay schedules, it also has to do with how you're calculating your overtime. So if your payroll week starts on a Sunday, then it would end on a Saturday, so forth. And, again, whether you're doing a first and a 15th type payroll, which I don't suggest, versus every 2 weeks, that would be impacting all this. We'll just set this up. And now we get to have fun. And what should we pay Linda?
$1 million.
Pay her salary of $10 a year.
Oh, come on. Thank you.
But let's add some additional pay types real quick here as well. Now we're going to give her a whole bunch of, do you want sick time?
Yeah,
we'll give you sick time. And so sick time, you can create policies that you would need to know. We'll max her out at 24 hours. We can give her commission, and we can even do extra forms of compensation as well. She is going to get some clergy housing.
Clergy housing. What about a bonus?
No, come on, be real. We're trying to show real world stuff here, okay? So group term life insurance. So, we're being funny and we're joking around with it, but you can see there's a lot of different options of ways that you can really track the way employees are receiving payment, because this also ties back into workers' compensation stuff too. Hey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Full
Does
circle.
Linda have any deductions? Yes. So Linda has a loan that she's paying back as well.
Let me guess, it's more than $10.
It is, unfortunately. I mean, you really, really need to watch that spending on shoes. So we're going to go loan repayment, shoes.
That was what that box was that I hit earlier before we started. No, I'm kidding.
Amount per pay. I mean, we got to be realistic. So let's only do 950.
I get 50 cents a month. Thank you. You're so generous. I'm going to report you. If I'm working in California, I think that's below minimum wage.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So then profile stuff. I mean, again, we're having fun with it. Home address, city, all the details here. Email when you're populating, it'll automatically populate for you. Your different phone numbers and such. I mean, these are actually good to have because you can pull up an employee contact list as well, right? And actually, they've even changed to have female, male, and non-binary. Birth date is a necessity in here. It won't let you.
Yes.
Before you can even process your first payroll. We're going to go 112001. See,
you're not paying me much, but you made me younger. Thank you. I'll take it. Good job.
Employee ID, not necessary, but definitely good to use if you have a large employee list. That's great to have. If you're using T-sheets, that's great to have as well because you can tie the pieces together, everything else. Status, of course, that would be active. We should do a video sometime explaining the differences of these and then checking off whether you actually have filed these and if you have them stored. Don't just check them off to check them off. Actually complete the task and then check them off. Hire date is another one that's a must. You basically can't write your first check without that being in there.
You're right. You're going to get it's going to be like a warning sign, like an exclamation point and a triangle or something like that. And you will not be able to select that employee to pay them. So
hire date will be January 1st, 2020. And work location, you can have multiple locations and that actually will give you, that's different than locations as in business locations. So, it's just, you can have reporting broken out by where they're working if it's one combined payroll. And then the workers' comp code, this is always an important one. Gives you the ability that whatever it's tracked at for that person, you can run your reports off of that also. I didn't do any errors. I'm surprised. That's pretty impressive.
That's good.
Then, of course, you would also have your employer settings on all of this. And under employer settings, one of the things that takes the longest when you're setting this stuff up, which is why to do it early, it's setting up the bank accounts. It's actually requesting the micro deposits to be made so you can validate that money can be pulled from your account to pay your employees electronically. Additionally, that has to be done so you can do electronic payments for all of your payroll taxes. That may be a little different though now, Linda, right? Because everything is now going to that full service aspect of it.
Yeah. And it's I found with the banks, it's usually depending on the bank, but sometimes it's really quick. It's like a day and it's there. And sometimes it's where did it go if it's an oddball bank. So it usually isn't too long before you get that little trigger to go put the amounts in to tell them the too small deposits.
And then you also, this is one that's always kind of overlooked, but the mapping of your payroll item, the different items itself. Do you use classes within your payroll? Are they different per person? Is it all one, so forth? So
have you found with classes though, I've got a client with classes and every time, even though you can do it here and change it, we've had so many quirky things happen with the classes where I've had to reach out to payroll and have them attach the class, even though it's in there and it shows, it's not populating in the report. So I always have to check the reports every time he adds a new employee. It's like a step I always have to do because it doesn't always attach it, even though it shows in these settings. So just something to note, maybe it's just one client that has that issue and might not be across the board, but I have had that happen.
Yeah, it isn't something I'm quite familiar with, but it's definitely good advice. So all employers' wages go to the same place or different wages for different types of pay as well, right? So this actually comes into play when you start using T-sheets, and with T-sheets, you can actually map your payroll items there as well. So you can make it to where time entries can go specifically what would normally be like a regular pay could be mapped directly to a secondary regular pay. It's a little more advanced of a payroll aspect, but it's pretty neat what you can do.
I think a lot of people don't even know these boxes and these buttons are here too, that they're right in the settings. It's kind of hidden.
And again, that was gear icon, payroll settings. Once you have, this is using QuickBooks Online payroll is what we're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go into payroll settings and then you go to accounting settings is where we've got to this. Every time if you're doing different classes for different employees, you need to keep in mind that as you do that, you'll need to go in and update those settings every time you add an employee. Otherwise, it will go to a basic like default. So that's one area to be kind of cautious on.
Yes.
So if I save all this again, we're doing it very raw. So hopefully no errors there. But yeah, that's kind of a much deeper dive of a lot of the stuff that goes in behind the scenes to try to get payroll set up correctly. Anything else to add to that, Linda?
No, it's not a hard thing to set up, but there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So you're just going to make sure you have all the things done. One of the payrolls, I believe the new payroll offerings is kind of like a do-it-yourself, even though that's still going to have the payroll stuff done for you. It's going to be that you have to do the onboarding. So like beginning of the year, if it's your fiscal year, onboarding is just, we just showed you really simple. You don't have to go tie back checks and tie back tax returns. So it's the best time to make the change. The second level, I think you still have to do it, or you can have a professional do it with you and help you, but you can pay for it. And I think the third level includes it, but the price obviously goes up per month. So you have to make the choice of which service you want to do. The last level of the payroll, I believe, has a little bit more HR stuff in it. So you got more, there's more bells and whistles. So you've got the 3 levels now that's coming up. And I'm not positive on all of those things, but I know that's from what I've been told, listening to the new offerings that I've seen some of the advertisements on.
It's definitely nice. I mean, as a company that's been doing the payroll for quite some time, and we've been doing essentials payroll, so we're pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
It is nice to have the knowledge that if they're going to be able to basically handle that part of it. And I've heard that if you're already using T-sheets, the way the pricing structure of that stuff will work out should be pretty close to the same. I don't know for
it's
sure.
It's included with the new payroll offerings. So that's really cool. You don't have to pay for it on the outside. And that's a great feature for a lot of people that I think a lot of times you work with new clients and you might find that they really have a need for that. It's so automated. It's a really great app.
So I do have one question. I mean, and actually I'd love to get everybody's feedback into the comments on this one, please. One of the things that we do when we're doing payroll is we always pay all the payroll taxes the exact same day as when we're running when we're running payroll, because we want the payroll liabilities balance out super, super easy, super fast. Mm-hmm. But I'm concerned if we're talking about it instead as the full service, that ability will be gone, right?
Yes, so they're going to be scheduling it, but they schedule it like right before the due date, like a week before the due date. So it's not going to be on the day of the payroll. It's going to be, you might have to run into a little bit of that accrual stuff, right?
I want the control,
you want to control
my 2 cents into it. I want that control. I want to be able to actually set up and maybe structure it that becomes an option that we select. We can say, hey, always pay it this way, always do that. Because we've got certain clients, we've been doing this for years now, and they're used to it that way. And again, proper cash flow, I know that this is just a preference thing, but it is an important preference.
That's right. And your new buddy, Easton, who I didn't get to see because I was busy, he said that the last level will cover any mistakes both the QuickBooks makes and mistakes on your end. So that's part of the deal with the last one.
I could break that.
Say hi to Tiffany. Miss you, Tiffany.
Hello.
Lisa.
Actually, Easton, Tiffany, Kelly,
Rowena.
Lynn, Rowena. I mean, it's great to see everybody there. So how many people here actually do payroll for clients now? Give us a comment in there with a bubble thumbs up, something like that.
I don't actually do it. I won't do that. I let them do the full service. I let them put their own hours in because you know what? When you can do a job really great for a client all year, and at one little mistake on a paycheck that they maybe gave it to you, whatever, and it's like end of the world. So I'm you guys, I'm gonna show you how to put, because it's so easy to put the hours in themselves. So I've managed to do it that way, that they put their own hours in. Working with attorneys, mostly salary anyway, but yeah.
And then, so I got one last question that's really been kind of on my mind, Linda. Have you seen that movie, Mist or The Mist?
No.
It's a horror film where all of a sudden this darkness is coming in, right? Look behind you. It's getting all like misty out there.
Oh, it's dark out because I'm on the East Coast. Funny. Did you make that person and go into the webinar and say that is risky to feed alligators or something? I wanted to ask you that, but I didn't go on the other webinar. And I'm like,
that's why I was laughing so hard. We were doing a webinar earlier for workers' compensation, and we asked, like, one of the things we talked about was dangerous jobs, and somebody literally was like, feeding alligators. I'm like, you can't put that.
I thought you had something to do with it. I'm like, oh my God.
Promise I didn't. I mean, I wish I could claim that one, but it was awesome. So, all right. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody jumping in, and you
didn't give them a Zoom link, so nobody really could have come in, or could they?
No, the goal was to actually do it here, but I did have something else I was going to be doing here real quick. Let me do it. When I find the right post. There we go. I've got a poll question.
Oh.
Create poll. I was supposed to do it at the beginning, though.
Oh.
Let's do.
I love Intuit Payroll. I love Intuit Payroll because it's built into the product. I know a lot of people love Gusto. There's a lot of great options. We got Shannon, who has her own service, which sounds like a real high level concierge kind of service, which I would never discount because there's definitely a need for that. But for certain, I love it because it's in product and it's really simple to use. And the T-Sheets thing now and all the other things that go with it, it's similar pricing.
So part of the reason I've got this set up this way is I created a fake payroll. I basically set up payroll, say this the right way, don't get in trouble, inside of my fake company file so I can connect T-Sheets and actually make some videos that are demonstrating, like, when you're doing the time tracking in T-Sheets, how it gets sucked into QuickBooks Online, gets pulled into projects, how it can be used for job costing, everything else. So nobody steal my idea. I've been setting this up for a while.
You just told everybody that now they are going to steal it.
I know, but that's okay. So we've got a poll question we put out there if you love more Q&As like this, and we'll publish results. This will actually be able to keep going after the live session, which is great. And then the next poll question, of course, is for everybody at the end here. Did you watch it live? Did you catch it on a replay? So as we sign off here, I guess I would say one last thing, Linda. Here's wishing you all a very successful week.
I know.
Yay. Oh, wait, I should publish that. Just kidding. Yay now.